Welcome to Breakfast Central on News Central. Now, the International Women's Day, celebrated every 8th of March, is geared towards recognizing the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women all over the world. Observed for the first time in 1911, International Women's Day aims to highlight and recognize the achievements and raise awareness about women's equality and lobbies for accelerated gender parity.
But despite all efforts to achieve this great feat, women in sub-Saharan Africa are still left behind in terms of decision-making and governance. This year's theme is gender equality, today for a sustainable tomorrow. Not forgetting too, this year we're also looking at ensuring that women are indeed included. Well, to further discuss on how to entrench equality of women as we mark this year's celebration, we have joining us this morning Assistant Speaker, Parliament of Zimbabwe, Honorable Tatenda Mavetera. Good morning to you and thank you for being here on Breakfast Central.
Thank you very much. Good morning. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Of course, I'm blessed to have two women with me this morning. What else could I ask for?
It's Women's Day. You are supposed to do that.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so let me ask this. International Women's Day is indeed celebrated to recognize the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. How would you assess the journey so far?
Thank you very much. For me, the journey has been good, though it has got its own challenges that you also meet on the way. One thing that I've also understood is that whenever you have got any position that you want, it never comes any easy. And all you need to do is for you to be consistent, to be focused, and also be determined for you to be able to achieve more. Let me be able to applaud the UN for coming up with this day from 1911. And today we are here to celebrate women. I'm very happy with this year's theme, which talks of equality and also a sustainable future. And I believe that the moment that we speak of a sustainable future, it means we're looking into the young people of today. And we really want to thank this theme, for this theme speaks into women and also the young women. And us having young women determining also shaping the future can also be very positive if ever we need to be very realistic about gender equality. And I think we also need to applaud the issue of gender equality, which also focuses on issues to do with 50-50, which I believe on the Beijing conference, women agreed and converged and said it was quite important for us to go to 50-50. Well, indeed, for me as a parliamentarian, my journey was quite a very bumpy one. For me, I started getting into politics when I was 16 years old. And now I'm 35 years old. When I got into politics, what I managed to do as an individual is I got there, and of course, it wasn't quite very easy. And when I started off getting into all the positions that you can think of. But now, as I speak now, I'll tell you, I became a member of parliament in Zimbabwe in 2018. And from there, then I went on and then became an assistant speaker in parliament. For me, I think this was a great achievement for me because if you look at it, there hasn't been any person of my age who has become an assistant speaker, especially in parliament. And I'm also the chairperson of the portfolio committee I'm the chairperson of the youth caucus. For me, on that issue, I look at issues to do with the young people. I recently turned 35. So, of course, according to the youth charter, I'm no longer youth. So with that, I'm sure when I finish in 10 to 36, I won't be able to chair the parliamentary caucus because it is supposed to be chaired by a young person. And then again, what I've also managed to do in Zimbabwe here, there is also, I belong to the ruling party. And in the ruling party, I am in the main wing, which is the decision-making body, which determines what happens in each and every other province. And there, I'm the only woman in that main wing, which is quite a great achievement for me. But all you need to do as a young person is for you to be focused, to be determined, so that you can then be able to achieve that.
Honorable, you made mention of the fact that you got into the political sphere in 2018, and that was a very peculiar time in Zimbabwe because as at that time in 2018, the number of women in the National Assembly was pegged at 85, while the number of men in the same National Assembly in 2018 was pegged at 185. Now, in terms of position in government across Africa, women seem to have occupied the back seat. let's take a look at this very quickly, looking at the graphics of the different women we've had in politics. We had in 1993 the acting president of Burundi. That was between February to October of 1993. We had Sylvia Kiningi. We also had Ivy Matsepe, who was the acting president of South Africa in September of 2005. Now, if you come down after 2005, we had the president itself. Now, prior to 2005, we had acting presidents and people were in acting positions. But now in Tanzania, current day Tanzania, we have Samia Suluhu Hassan, who is the president of Tanzania. She came into power after the death of John Magufuli in 2021. We also have Helen Johnson Sirleaf, who was the first elected female African president. Now, she won the 2005 presidential election in Liberia. These are just some of the women who have been in politics since inception to this present day. Looking at the situation, how can we entrench the involvement and participation of women in politics and in governance?
Okay, thank you very much. For me, when I look at that, one of the greatest things that I think we need to do is for us, especially for us as parliamentarians, we need to lobby for institutional frameworks and policies and also legislation, be it at local, be it at national, and even global levels when it comes to the involvement of women. We need to be looking at women's rights and also to find out how women can actually be able to contribute towards gender equality. And I think we need then to be able to look for laws for us, be it for us, especially as members of parliament. We need to be able to create laws. Since we are the women in parliament, let us get motions that will be able to make sure that at least we create legislation that is towards women. The moment that we do that, it means that it is now a matter of a legislation which is pro-gender equality. And also from political parties, I feel that it's quite important for political parties to be mandated for them to be able to agree when it comes to them giving lists or giving candidates that are also pro-women. We can't be having a situation whereby from political parties, they speak of gender equality, they speak of upholding their constitution within each and every country. But when it comes to them implementing issues to do with gender equality, it becomes a very minimum. And I think there is need for us to have an engagement. We are having a challenge whereby we realize that, especially as young women, we have been made, men have made us to come to believe that indeed the problem that we have are other fellow older women. It's actually seeming as if our position has been taken by older women, yet it's not the case. The case is a matter of us young women and older women to work together so that we fight patriarchy. The moment that we do that, we will be able to push for legislation that is pro-young women, pro-older women. And we'll be able again to make sure that at least we'll lobby for resources. When it comes to politics, to be honest with you, it needs resources. So we need to come up with a framework that will empower women, a framework that will empower women to be able to get involved in politics. And women need information. People need to get information of what is happening right now. And again, finally, I feel that we need to have an engagement, especially with the relevant departments, so that we have a comprehensive mapping on who we need to be able to engage. We need to be effective as women. And I believe that we also need to come up with all these considerations by us coming up with a framework that we all agree and will be able to implement. We have got a situation whereby you realize that we have certain laws, but implementation is lacking. So we need implementation so that women can then be able to look for this. And even in Parliament, we need to lobby for funding for women. We need adequate funding for women's activities. The moment that we do that, we have more women coming up. And again, when we have got a legislative agenda that speaks into gender equality, even when it comes to the president who is going to appoint any ministers, he will make sure that he appoints 50-50, which is also pro-women. So it's a matter of us women getting united, deciding on one issue and saying to ourselves, right now we are very much the worst hit when it comes to us having proper representation, especially in parliament, even at local governments. But let me applaud my government, especially here in Zimbabwe. We came up with a quota, which is to women, especially in parliament. We've got a quota. Let me applaud my president, His Excellency Dr. Edie Mnangagwa. Right now, as it stands, we have got a 30% quota that we got recently, which is for women, especially at local government level. So now we have got a quota, especially for the parliament, and also we have got a quota also at local government. In that way, it will also enhance women's participation, because now at least when they are in that basket, they'll be able to be chosen to become members of, to become ministers, and also even to become even chairpersons of councils. In that way, that will mean us as women were now represented.
All right, Honorable Tatenda, you just took that question out of my mouth, talking about the quota that was better than proposed in 2013 in Zimbabwe. But thank you so much for your insight on this particular story. We wish all the women in Zimbabwe, in Africa and beyond, a very good International Women's Day today.
Thank you. Happy Women's Day to you too.
Thank you.